Good afternoon and happy Sunday, punters. Big day of racing here from the Kalgoorlie Boulder Race Club. My name is Tessa Daly and I'm joined by Riley Morgan this afternoon as our form analyst. Riley, 8 races to be run and 1, including the feature on today's program, the Tats Cup. Start of a big journey, I guess, into the Kalgoorlie Boulder racing round as well, and we start to see some more of our feature races popping up. What do you like on today's program?
Certainly is, Tess. That round is certainly getting closer and closer, and it will be upon us before we know it, but a pretty tricky betting program for mine today. As I say, good afternoon to you and to everyone tuned in on Racing WA TV and Racing.com. Joining our coverage here from Kalgoorlie this afternoon, only the one best bet for me on today's program. I'm with Chipilly in race 4. I thought she was really good on stable debut. She was a former Eastern States acquisition for Peter Fernie and his team. She had her first run for the camp here at the last meeting at Kalgoorlie. She was able to find the front in running, and she was only gunned down right in the shadows of the post. She finds a relatively weak race here today, and a race that doesn't have a lot of speed engaged in it. So I did think that she could roll forward and find the front here. She should strip fitter for having that run under the belt as well. Tash Faithful sticks, and she's one of the form jockeys in the state at the moment. And with that setup, I thought she'd prove very hard to beat in race number 4. She has been well found in the market. She's around that $2.25 mark with Tab Touch at the moment. But Chipilly, for me, looked the best bet on today's program in race number 4.
Very well. I think there is a little bit of an update as well we'll get from the stewards ahead of race number 1, but we'll be able to find all things out there. We do have a scratching in race 1 in Zumachino, but looking at the program, I know it is a little bit of a trickier program from potentially a betting perspective side of things, but our feature, the Tats Cup, does come up at race number 7. How do we see things playing out there over the 1600?
Really looking forward to the feature. There's a couple of really strong races on today's program, Tess, but the feature on today's program is the Tats Cup, as you mentioned, and a very competitive race. You could make a genuine case for numerous runners in that field. We see Decoration back at Kalgoorlie. We know that he loves racing here. He's 2 from 2 at the track and didn't fire a shot going back to town last start, but he was a dominant winner here at Kalgoorlie a couple of starts ago, and Tash Faithful jumps on board him for the first time for the preparation this afternoon. Feuding's been around the traps for quite some time now, a horse that you know very fondly, Tess.
Yes.
Gets some weight relief today. Holly Noddle on board, so they opt to use her 3 kilo claim, and he actually meets Decoration far better at the weights for the last time they met, and he was only a length and a half behind him the last time they met as well. So you could make a case that with that weight swing that Feuding gets today, drawn a nice gate, utilising Holly Noddle's 3 kilo claim, that he's well placed to turn the tables on a horse like Decoration. And I wouldn't be ruling out an improved run from Uncompromised, the winner of this race 12 months ago. It was disappointing first up in the Kambalda Cup, but perhaps just didn't handle the track conditions as we saw at that last meeting here at Kalgoorlie. They raced on a soft 6. There was plenty of rain around in the days leading into the meeting, and for whatever reason, some horses just maybe didn't handle it as well as they should have, or as well as they might handle the improving surface here at Kalgoorlie today. The conditions are going to be interesting. Track currently listed as a soft 5. They have had plenty of rain around over the last 48 hours here on the Goldfields, and plenty last night as well. So the track has had a bit of moisture over the last 24 hours, but it has come up a soft 5. And speaking to club CEO Craig Smith, he seems to think that the track's in very good order and has dried out really nicely for today's program as well. So I do think we're going to be on a better surface than what we raced on the last time we were here at Kalgoorlie, and I think that's going to help a horse like Uncompromised, who clearly didn't handle that soft 6 surface last time out.
And as mentioned, was last year's winner as well, which is fantastic. Helen Harding's team is in some fantastic form as well, and it's really exciting to see Rocky Chong back in the saddle today. He's got a few nice rides for Helen as well, and another one of our up-and-coming apprentices.
He's got a wicked scar from that surgery that he had on his ankle. I got a look at that this morning, but no, it's good to have Rocky back in the saddle. He's a great character to have here in WA racing, one of our young apprentices who is riding over here from Hong Kong, so I'm sure he's very excited to be back in the saddle here today. And speaking of Helen Harding and her team, I'm actually tipping into her in the sprinting feature here at Kalgoorlie today in the Palace Hotel Gold Rush, which is an interesting race, but Celebrity Prince could prove to be a really handy acquisition for Helen and her team. He was a horse that did some good things for Mickey Grantham, a former Peters Investments galloper that raced well in town and raced well in 66 plus company in Saturday grade a little bit earlier this preparation as well. He had his first run here at Kalgoorlie last start and he was a really dominant winner. I think he's got a bit of a class edge on that field, and while he is going to get a long way back from a pretty wide barrier, I do think that he's the best horse in the race, and if he gets the breaks and the right sort of run that he needs, I think he's got the ability to be finishing over the top of them. So at around that $5.50, $5 mark with Tab Touch at the moment, I think Celebrity Prince could pose a bet as well in the Gold Rush later on today.
Very intriguing day as well, as mentioned, Helen Harding's yard, and also Justin Robbins has got some new acquisitions to his yard as well. We see today there's a few horses that will be going around for the very first time in WA as well today, so a lot to watch with interest.
Yeah, and they're all first up as well, so we have seen a couple of them that have had a trial here at Kalgoorlie a couple of weeks ago over the 1100 metres, and they did seem to move pretty well in that trial, but no, some Eastern States acquisitions for Justin's team look as though they've got some pretty handy form on the board as well, so intrigued to see how they go first up here this afternoon.
Exactly right. Runners are in the back parade ring at the moment, about to make their way into the main parade ring here, ahead of race number 1, the Liquor City Kalgoorlie Maiden over the 1200 metres. Before runners do make their way into the yard, Riley, how do we see things playing out in the opener?
Pretty open race. So I didn't have a strong opinion in this maiden over the 1200 metres. They haven't been the strongest of races, these Kalgoorlie maidens, for the better part of the season test, but I'm tipping into Ash Maley. I'm following the hot hand. He's been in some unbelievable form. His stable red hot over the last 10 days or so, with Eliver Man, who finds a much weaker race than what he's been going around in town. He's a 3-year-old. He's still on the rise, and I do think he finds a very suitable assignment, or at least a race that's going to be lengths easier than what he has been racing against in town at his first 3 starts to kick off his career. He gets the informed Holly Knottle in the saddle as well, and from the barrier I think he can hold a strong enough position in running to suggest that if he can bring that form that he's been racing in, while he has been well beaten from town, as mentioned, they've been much stronger races, and this isn't an overly strong race, so I did think he could run well today.
And as mentioned, the very informed jock, or should I say apprentice, in Holly Knottle aboard. From a jockey challenge perspective, it was a bit of a play that we were having yesterday. We covered 3 meetings there from Belmont yesterday, Kununurra, Newman and Belmont, 21 races. So I'm a little bit husky today. We have been speaking a lot yesterday, but we had a bit of a play with the jockey challenge. Who would you be backing today?
It's a tricky one. Tash Faithful's the one to beat, and she's always going to be the one to beat here at Kalgoorlie with her partnership with Peter Fernie, especially with Lucy Fiore out of action at the moment. But if you were looking for one maybe out wider, Zephyr Johnson Porter's got some really nice rides here this afternoon. So off the back of riding his first Saturday winner there yesterday, Zeph's in some good form himself, and he's got some nice rides. So I think Zephyr could be one you could look at longer odds.
It was a fantastic day as well for racing, wasn't it? For Zephyr Johnson Porter, Chanel Cooper as well, both being able to boot home their very first Metro Saturday winner, and I'm sure the first of many. Once they get the monkey off the back, the winners just continue to roll generally.
Yeah, they do, and it was interesting yesterday, Zephyr's first win, it was actually Chanel that was really coming after him in the straight as well, and looked as though that she was going to go past with 100 metres to go before her mount peaked in Terra Turf, and Cool Memory was able to kick for Zephyr Johnson Porter along that inside and hold on for the win. But as you mentioned, a couple of really good stories out of yesterday's racing. Zephyr and Chanel both getting their first Metropolitan Saturday winners on the board, and as you said, many more to come.
Absolutely right. And we also obviously had the Newman Cup. Reginald was able to make it 2 Cup wins as well this campaign for Timo Pike. He's been in fantastic
It's been some season for Timo.
Oh, absolutely. And I know he's very much looking forward to relaxing now back down south. He's made his way back down. So Anthony Barton actually took the horse there for him, and partner Simone rode, and it was a fantastic result there. We see the Kununurra Cup as well next week, and all the country cups are really starting to either kick off, or we start to get to that stage where they do start to wrap up. But we should switch our attention now back to Kalgoorlie, because runners are entering the yard here ahead of race number 1, the Liquor City Kalgoorlie Maiden over the 1200 metres. We'll kick things off here, Riley, with the one in Johnny Waffles for Brian Allen and Chris Nicol.
He's first up here this afternoon, Johnny Waffles, Tessa, and he's having his first run for Brian Allen's team as well here on the Goldfields. He has run some solid enough races over the course of his career, but he has had a few cracks at it now. He's had 18 starts and only finished in the money on 3 separate occasions. So he has had a few chances to get that maiden win out of the way. He did trial here at Kalgoorlie over the 1100 metres. That was back on the 3rd of August. And the trial suggested to me that he might just need this run as he builds into his campaign.
The 2 is Shine and Burn, has been building this preparation for the informed Helen Harding and Zephyr Johnston Porter.
She has been building. She was a little bit disappointing here at Kalgoorlie first up, but she's been better in her 2 runs since then. She was beaten 2.5 lengths by Heavy Metal, who goes around a very short price favourite a little bit later on today's program. Then last up bumped into I'm Genevieve when running 3rd. Didn't think it was a bad effort, got a long way back in running, had to make an early move and sustained a nice run to hit the line into 3rd. I do think the barrier probably hurts her chances here once again today. She has drawn very wide, but she's shown her versatility in her 3 runs up here on the Goldfields, and it wouldn't surprise to see her really push forward with a bit of aggression with a clean getaway from the barrier.
The 3 is Vain Universe, 3rd start this preparation, Paul Tapper, Alex Hearn.
A 4-year-old mare, still very lightly raced. She's having her first start for Paul Tapper's team, and she brings some proper form lines from when she was formerly racing with Simon Miller as well. She ran 2nd behind a lot of roses down the straight at Pinjarra in a maiden over the 1,000 metres, and ran 4th, beaten 3 lengths by Snow God in a maiden as well over the 1,000 metres at Ascot, which is really good form on paper for a race of this nature. I thought she trialled really well leading into this campaign. She defeated Strapping Profit in that trial, who subsequently run very well in Saturday Company and looks a nice horse on the rise for Steph Bakranich. And you could say that she has had some excuses in her 2 runs back this campaign. They were both very disappointing, but she was slow to recover her first run back, and then her most recent run at the races at Northam, she was wide throughout and faded quite considerably over the concluding stages. As we know, she's changed hands here today. She's been freshened up. We haven't seen her for 59 days. She's drawn nice and soft in barrier 1. Alex Hearn jumps on board. I think if she can recapture some of that early form that she was able to display when she was racing with Simon Miller, that she could be in the finish.
The 4 is Z Hot Express for Jason Miller and Braden Garth.
She was only beaten 2 lengths by a subsequent 3-year-old Saturday winner last start in My Authoritar, so that is form that's certainly going to stand out in this field test. She's going to find this a lot easier than that race she contested. She has drawn a little bit sticky here in barrier 10. I'm not exactly sure where she's going to get to in the run, and I do think that she was flattered a little bit with her performance last start, given she was right out in the middle of the track, and that was certainly the A1 ground to be on that program. Do think, as I said, she's going to find this a lot easier, and with the right run from a bit of a tricky gate, she can certainly be featuring.
As mentioned at the start of our preview, Zumachino is a scratching. Deductions have been applied here, 11 cents to the dollar. So we move on to the 6, Inner Joy for Ricky Brown and Chanel Cooper.
Another former mare trained by Simon Miller. She did show a little bit early doors, but she's been incredibly disappointing since arriving here on the Goldfields. They do tinker with a bit of gear with her this afternoon. They replaced the blinkers with the winkers, but for mine, off the back of her recent performances, she's been beaten some very big margins. She's racing like she's had enough this preparation.
Better Win Villa is the 7, having first race start for Paul Tapper and Brandon Louis rides.
First up here this afternoon as well, 5-year-old mare, only had the 5 career starts. A former Eastern States galloper. She ran 3rd in an Ararat maiden back on the 10th of May this year over the 1,600 metres. So you would suggest off the back of that she's going to improve as she gets out over a little bit further with the run under the belt here test, but not exactly sure what to expect from her.
The 8 is the stablemate in Throw Me a Kiss, and we'll be wearing the club colours as well, so the black colours out there to make note there. Paul Tapper and Alicia Whittington.
Thought her runs were pretty solid prior to losing the rider, unfortunately, last start, but she was only beaten 2 lengths by Gibraltar Gold, who's a nice horse for Peter Fernie. Then 2 starts ago bumped into Heavy Metal when only beaten 3 lengths at the finish as well. Still think she'd need to find a length or 2 on those runs to be in the finish here, but she should get the right run from the gate. I think she maps for a really nice trip in transit.
The 9 is New Hymn Sheet for Peter Fernie and Tash Faithful.
The markets love this horse and always has since her debut performance. She just hasn't really shown a great deal just yet and showed nothing really for Grant and Alana Williams early doors, which is not something that you often see. She was a bit better last start. That was her first run here on the Goldfields. She got a long way back, but she did wind up quite strongly late over the 1,100 metres. I like the way she hit the line, and the rise to 1,200 is going to suit her here off the back of that here this afternoon. She gets Tash Faithful on board, which is always going to be a positive. She is going to get back. She doesn't have a lot of early speed, this horse, so she'll get back from the barrier, and you do always need things to go your way here settling rearwards at the KBRC.
The 10 is a Mirror Girl, first up today and having 3rd race start, David Smith and Troy Turner.
Didn't show a great deal in her first 2 career starts, Amira Girl, but she does get the blinkers on here today for the first time. And as you mentioned, is first up 84 days between runs. But off the back of those 2 runs here at Kalgoorlie in her debut preparation, I'm happy to have a look at her once again.
And the 11 is Eleva Man. You're on top of here, Riley, and has been very well supported in the market. $6.50 into $2.90, now at $3.30 for Ashley Maley and Holly Nottle.
Yeah, he opened up at $7 in the market, Tess, and obviously has been very well backed. And it makes a lot of sense. He's the 3-year-old out of races at a length stronger than what he meets here this afternoon. He's come in behind horses the likes of Bundaberg, Cape Lewin and Friar's Legacy at his last 3, which is form that really stands out for me on paper, jumping into a Kalgoorlie Maiden. Dropped some big weight off his back as well, utilising that claim of Holly Nottle. Very much an in-form apprentice, drawn nicely to hold a strong position in running from barrier 4. I think he brings a lot more upside than most of these, and as we know, the stable's been in red-hot form. He's trained 3 winners. Ash Maley from the last 9 horses that he's saddled up. So he does tick a lot of boxes, this horse, and I do think this looks a very suitable race for him.
Has been instructed as well to be ridden forward today. We will be throwing straight up to the caller, Riley, so apologies, I know your numbers will be on screen. Darren McCauley is calling home all the action today, so we'll hand you up now to Darren.
Righto, Tess, thank you indeed. These runners continue to move along at the 1200. New hymn sheet about to join them. Displaced at the head of the market by Eleva Man, which is $3.30. New hymn sheet $3.50, and 7 each of 2 Shine and Burn Z Hot Express. So we wait now here on Inner Joy. Z Hot Express, new hymn sheet with the barrier blanket to be loaded. And out the back of the gate still is Throw Me a Kiss, who wears the emergency colours of the club, the black silks. 5 of them out of line, bit of sun coming out here now in the goldfields after that wet day yesterday, but the ground is a soft 5 for the Tats Cup meeting. New hymn sheet, just delaying things over there for the time being. Barrier attendants trying to hook up in behind new hymn sheet in the Yarradale stud colours. Second elect for the race. Not exactly doing barrier staff any favours down there right at the moment for this Liquor City Kalgoorlie Maiden. But a huge build-up to the Tats Cup meeting, of course, with the historic club celebrating 120 years. It's an institution in Kalgoorlie, Boulder. And recognising some of the greats like Nick Turich and George Thomas, with the races named in their honour, the memorial races that'll be run through the day. And no doubt this will be a launch into race round, where of course they host all of the famous Calcuttas as well for the Boulder Cup, Hannon's Kalgoorlie Cup. Such a busy time. The first $1 million race in the Goldfields, the richest regional race ever run in this state. The Golden Saddle on Cal Cup Day. And it virtually starts pretty much from Tats Cup. The momentum will really build. Still playing up, new hymn sheet. Testing the resolve of those at the gates. The blue lights still continue to flash there on the stalls, and this second favourite is showing no signs of going in. In fact, getting more and more stirred up as time goes on. A bit breezy over there in the back. Z Hot Express waits its turn. Shine and Burn out the back. Likewise, Amira Miss and Throw Me a Kiss as well. One of a trio of runners from the yard of Paul Tapper. Now they might have just succeeded in getting it in. New hymn sheet they have. And I reckon the clock was running right at the 11th hour. Throw Me a Kiss goes in now. Here's Shine and Burn. And there'll be one other to join them, and that is Amira Girl. They're nearly right. First for the day. Competitive afternoon of racing. The starter onto the ladder, Neville Sly. Lights transition to red, and they're set. Stand by for a start. Gates open. Often racing. Oh, one stood there. Shine and Burn walked out of the machine, missed it by 6 or 7. One of the first to get going, Throw Me a Kiss, but Hell of a Man is going to drive through and go to the lead soon after. Right behind those settling down is Vain Universe, occupying third spot early. Around the outside, New Hymn Sheet. They're being followed further back behind those. Next of all is Inner Joy, who parked midfield. Z Hot Express about to go around the outside of it, going onto the Charles Street side. Shine and Burn's made up 6 or 7 lengths and now started to loop the field. It's made up terrific amount of ground. Further back, Johnny Waffles down near the inside at the 500 metre mark, and further back is Bedouin Villa. It's next to last in the tail ender, a Mirror Girl. They approach the home turn. Hell of a Man just in front. On the outside, Throw Me a Kiss, New Hymn Sheet covering additional ground. Back on the inside next, Vain Universe waits its turn. Now tries to push into the open as they straighten for home, and Hell of a Man led by a length and a half. Vain Universe trying hard to pick up the ground at the 200. Hell of a Man's the leader from Vain Universe. Johnny Waffles gets up near the rail. Hell of a Man with 100 left to go. New Hymn Sheet down the outside, a Mirror Girl. Hell of a Man shortening stride, but will have just enough in hand. Hell of a Man won it narrowly from either New Hymn Sheet or a Mirror Girl, who flashed late. They beat off Vain Universe, followed by Throw Me a Kiss next home. At the head of the others was Inner Joy. Johnny Waffles next in, followed further back then by Bedouin Villa, then Z Hot Express, and Shine and Burn. Well, it missed the kick terribly and then circled the field and then dropped right out and finished back there a long last. 11's the winner, Hell of a Man, the Gingerbread Man gelding. Gee, it caps a big weekend for Gingerbread Man, the sire, who stamped the trifecta yesterday in the idyllic Prince Stakes. And he's right on the board here today with this 3-year-old siring the winner of race 1, Hell of a Man, for the Inform yard of Ash Maley, ridden by Holly Nottle. 11 beats 9, New Hymn Sheet, who did cover some ground. Didn't get the rub of the green. 10, a Mirror Girl first up, caught the eye, running on into third. Vain Universe loomed to them and weakened on its run in the last 100. They've run 1:14.62 on the soft 5 ground. It's a half a length and a half ahead. The margins, half a length, half ahead. Hell of a Man raced by Ash Maley, Mrs. N. Butcher, Mrs. K. Vanzetti, Ms. M. Maley, Mrs. K. Lee, Mrs. B.J. Harrington, C.B. B.M. Harrington, a Gingerbread Man, L. Schwarzi gelding, and having his 4th run today, the 3-year-old opens up his winning account. 9, New Hymn Sheet second by Playing God, a mare from Verse, owned by Yarradale, trained by Peter Fernie, ridden by Tash Faithful, and third, number 10, a Mirror Girl, is by Universal Ruler. On resumption today, she's out of Glimmer Girl, and raced by David Smith, Jacobel Racing, Johnson, C. Ellery, B. Dowdle, J. Brown, and Ms. M. Smith, trained by David Smith, ridden by Troy Turner. Shine and Burn missed the start terribly, and then tacked on, went right around the field, and then subsequently dropped out and was well beaten after all of that. Race 2, the EBM Insurance and Risk Goldfields handicap over 1,100 metres. The next is at 1:15. There are no scratchings, 8 to do battle, as we take you back down to the yard now and once again catch up with Tessa Daly.
Thanks, Darren. Ashley Maley not on course today, but fantastic to continue his great winning form. And Hell of a Man to break through today at start number 4. Leads all the way and got the job done there, Riley. Again, Holly, very nice steer job.
Certainly did. Building a nice little partnership over the last week or so, Tess. Holly Nottle and Ash Maley able to combine with Royal Law during the week at Pinjarra. Then once again today with Hell of a Man, who did look very well placed out of some much stronger races than what he met today in 3-year-old company in town. And while he'd been beaten big margins, those races are certainly a lot stronger than these horses that have had a few cracks at it now to be breaking maiden status. I'll grab a quick word with Holly Nottle after the performance there of Hell of a Man. Holly, there was a change of tactics fired in with this horse today, that it was the plan to come out and be forward and positive in the run, and while he got a little bit tired over the concluding stages, he was very good.
Yeah, no, Mr. Maley just wanted to try something different today, go a bit more positive, and looked like it worked out.
Was he pretty confident on this horse's chances here today? He obviously had been going around in town in stronger races than what he met here this afternoon.
Yeah, he's been going like really good, he said, and he's just been, racing good, so hopefully today he can do what he's been doing pretty much.
Would Diego Dynamite, a very impressive last start winner, be the best of your rides for the remainder of the afternoon?
I think so, yeah.
Congratulations on the win in the first.
Thank you.
There's Holly Nottle combining with Ashley Maley and Ella Verman taking out the first here of 8, the Liquor City Kalgoorlie Maiden over the 1,200 metres. Numbers here in the first 11, 9, 10 and 3. 7 more races to come here at the KBRC.